Hello everybody, it's GNSource here. We focus on budget Magic the Gathering, and today I am bringing you a Satoru Umezawa commander deck. Satoru is a human ninja for 1 blue-black, and whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once each turn. Also, each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu 2 blue-black. So, arguably the best part of this card is the last little line of text. With this line of text, I believe Satoru could be the most popular ninja commander. It's very likely that'll happen. And let's begin. I just want to say beforehand that this deck focuses on having low to the ground, evasive creatures, and then cheating out some really big haymakers later on in the game, and relatively early in the game with Satoru's ability. So here we go. We're going to start out by rocking out. We got Charcoal Diamond and Sky Diamond. Both enter the battlefield tapped. One makes a black mana, one makes a blue mana. Commander Sphere. Add 1 mana or 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And then you can sacrifice it in the late game to draw a card if needed be. And then my favorite mana rock is Midnight Clock. Taps to add a blue. 2 and a blue, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. And when the 12th hour counter is put onto Midnight Clock, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, and then draw 7 cards. Exile Midnight Clock. So I absolutely love this mana rock. It is arguably my favorite. It just is very handy to get fresh gas in your hand. To just get a 7 brand new spanking cards in your hand is usually better than what you have to begin with, and that has the potential to get you a monster to cheat out, protection for Satoru, card draw, another unblockable little guy. It's just, there's so much that this clock can do for you, and I absolutely love it. We have Dimir Keyrune. It's a 3 CMC. It can tap for a blue or a black, and you can pay blue and a black, and it becomes a 2/2 blue and black horror artifact creature until end of turn that can't be blocked. With ninjutsu, this gives you not only a mana rock, but also the ability to ninjutsu this out to get one of our impactful creatures on the board if we do not need the mana at this point. Just a little kind of a tech that I would love to include. Just another way of evasion out of him. Next up, we have Strixhaven Stadium. 3 CMC, taps, adds a colorless, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point. But whenever a creature you control deals damage to an opponent, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. If it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all, and that player loses the game. So, okay, a lot going on here. We do have evasive creatures we are going to be attacking frequently to get our ninjutsu triggers, and this is an easy and sneaky way to take our biggest rival out of the game if needed be. So Ornithopter of Paradise is a great mana rock. It is a flying creature. It's also a mana dork. Don't know exactly where that distinction lies, but it's also a very, very great and cheap card. Flying, and they can just tap for any 1 mana of any color. So just a really, really good value from him. Oh, and worst case scenario, you can use him to attack, even though he has 0 attack, since he has flying, and then sub him out using the ninjutsu ability. That is an option I just want to put out there. We're going to go into our card draw. First up, we have Deep Fathom Skulker. It has Devoid. That's really not going to come up. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card, and then you can pay 3, and a colorless target creature can't be blocked this turn. So with all of our evasive little guys, Deep Fathom Skulker can draw us a ton of cards, and if we have the right lands or mana rock or anything like that, we can make one of our bigger guys unblockable. So that can be a little bit extra value that you might not want to forget about. Deep Fathom Skulker probably will be one of our better draw engines in this deck. Behold the Multiverse, just a really good draw card, scry 2, then draw 2 cards, and you can foretell it for 1 of blue after paying 2 in a previous turn. Opt, scry 1, draw 1. Just a really good card. And then Diabolic Tutor, technically not card draw. I know it's a tutor, but it's better than card draw at this point. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. You can get a big win condition with this card. You can get protection for Satoru. You can get card draw. Well, at that point, that's kind of redundant. You can get one of our big impactful spells. There's just so many answers that you can grab with a Diabolic Tutor. It's just really necessary for any budget deck, honestly. Next up, we have Preordain, scry 2, and then draw a card. Bident of Thassa and Reconnaissance Mission are mostly here for the first line of text. Whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, you may draw a card. Bident of Thassa also has pay 1 and a blue and tap. Creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able. That can really get someone who just has a bunch of utility creatures. Put them into a really bad situation, honestly. It's just a little bit of extra... a little bit of an extra utility piece on that part. And then Reconnaissance Mission has cycling 2. I really wouldn't want to throw this card away under most circumstances unless for some reason you are getting really mana screwed or mana flooded, but I doubt that'll happen. But it is an option if you really need to find an answer. Most of the time Reconnaissance Mission is going to give you quite a bit of more value actually being played. We're going to start off with our sneaky boys. First up, we got Changeling Outcast. It has Changeling, so it's every type of creature, and Changeling Outcast can't be blocked and can't be blocked. All these guys are evasive one way or another. Dimir Infiltrator. Infiltrator can't be blocked, and it also has Transmute for 1 blue black. Discard this card. You pay the transmute cost, you discard this card, you search for a library for a card with the same converted mana cost as this card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. This gives you access to some of our more interesting mana rocks like Midnight Clock. It gives you access to a few other creatures. There's not a terrible amount of 3 CMCs. It can get you, I believe a removal spell as well if you really need to do that. It's just another added utility piece. You're mostly going to be using it for the fact that it can't be blocked. Next up, we have Ginger Brute. It has haste, but you can pay 1, and Ginger Brute can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. And then you can also pay 2 and tap, sacrifice it, and you gain 3 life. Like I said, you're going to be using the first ability. Just get in there, just trying to get unblockable damage in. Goodle Lurker can't be blocked and also has Megamorph. You can cast it for 3 to make it a 2/2, and then you can Megamorph it with blue next turn, and then it just turns into a 2/2 unblockable creature. I'm not really sure if it's really worth paying 4 mana for that, honestly, especially when you're going to be ninjutsuing it out. But it is an option if you're late in the game or you have a Strixhaven Stadium or another card that we'll mention later. Invisible Stalker, hexproof, which is pretty key. Not going to lie, that's actually a really good thing to have on on a unblockable creature. Invisible Stalker can't be blocked. Miscloaked Herald also can't be blocked, and Slitherblade can't be blocked. We have Tormented Soul, it just can't be blocked and also can't block. It has Triton Shore Stalker, also can't be blocked. And Yukima Stalking Shadow. It's a partner card, we're not going to care about that. It also can't be blocked, and whenever it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to target player, and you gain X life, where X is its power. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to be pinging someone for 2 life, and you're going to gain 2 life with this card. There's nothing too crazy about that, but there is a card in here that can increase its power, and we'll talk about that later. But I love the extra little bit of life gain that you get from this card from ninjutsuing it in and out. It's not the most efficient since it's a 3-cost card, but it does give you that little bit of extra value, and I appreciate that. Ornithopter has a 0 CMC. It is flying. That gives it a little bit of evasiveness. It's also a 0/2. So it doesn't necessarily have to deal damage to activate ninjutsu. You can just pick that card up and slap down one of our big, beefy, hopefully win conditions. Siren Storm Tamer has flying. You can also sacrifice it to counter target spell or ability that targets you or a creature you control. Just a very effective counter spell on a body. Then we have Spectral Sailor, has flash and flying, and you can draw a card for 3 and a blue. Thalico Seer has shadow. So the only thing that is disappointing with this card is that it is a shadow card, so you can't necessarily affect it with your own creatures. Never mind, I was thinking of Shroud. That's the next card. I apologize. Shadow just means it can't just be blocked by normal creatures. And when it leaves play, you draw a card. So not only does it give you a ninjutsu target, it also gives you extra card advantage, hopefully through either Satoru drawing you a card and then this drawing you a card, potentially giving you 2 cards from 1 ninjutsu ability. That is well worth the 4 mana to cheat out a bigger creature. And then Whisper Silk Cloak. I debated putting this into this section. It is a very important artifact, that's for sure, in this deck. Equipped creature can't be blocked and has Shroud with Equip 2. You probably want to put this on your Satoru, give him quite a bit of protection, but you can also put it on a bigger creature to get in some really massive combat damage if needed be. We also have Access Tunnel. Tap adds a colorless. You can pay 3, tap, target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. And then you also have Rogue's Passage. Tap, add a colorless, tap, pay 4, tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So I just want to, these are very important cards in this deck, obviously, but I just want to point out Access Tunnel is more for ninjutsu abilities. Rogue's Passage is either ninjutsu abilities and or just trying to close out the game with a really impactful attack by one of your creatures. We have some traditional ninjas in here as well. We have Fallen Shinobi. It has ninjutsu 2 blue black, it saves you 1 mana, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards without paying their mana costs. So since it does say play those cards and not cast those cards, you can technically play lands, so there's not really a dead draw unless you hit 2 lands. Like I said, it's just a very helpful card. Ingenious Infiltrator. Ninjutsu. It has ninjutsu, blue and a black. Saves you 2 mana, and whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That does include itself, so when you do ninjutsu in it, you get at least 1 card, possibly 2 cards if you have Satoru on the field. I would never use Satoru's ability on this, just saying. It will get you a card every now and then, but it is not the most efficient or effective card draw engine. Next up, we have Ninja of the Deep Hours. Has ninjutsu for 1 and a blue, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it also draws a card. Again, it's going to get you 1 card draw for 2 mana. That's pretty hard to beat, honestly. It's just a good card. Again, it won't give you as much as Ingenious Infiltrator does. It'll give you a little bit less, but like that extra little utility and a little bit of ninja spice is never a bad thing. Now we get on to the things you all wanted to see. We have unconventional ninjas. We have Artisan of Kozilek. When you cast a spell, you may return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. I doubt you'll ever get there, but it's possible. I've seen Commander games grind out for a while, so I can definitely see this happening maybe once in a blue moon. It has Annihilator 2 for 10 and a 9. The only bad thing about Artisan of Kozilek and the other Annihilators is that the Annihilator trigger happens when it attacks. Since it comes into the battlefield already attacking, you don't get that trigger. But you did just cheat in a 10-9 onto the battlefield, so it's kind of hard to complain about that. Atimus All-Seeing. It has flying, and it has 2 and a blue, draw 2 cards, and then discard a card, and whenever Atimus All-Seeing deals damage to an opponent, you may reveal your hand if cards with at least 6 different converted mana costs are revealed this way, that player loses the game. So this can be a win condition. It is a very big pain in the butt, not gonna lie, trying to get 6 different cards to fulfill this win condition, but it is a win condition in this deck. It also has flying, so it also makes a great ninjutsu target to repeatedly get out different enter the battlefield effects. But it does have a win condition on a body, so it's hard not to include on this deck, especially with what a wide range of CMC values we have, because we have a 9, a 6, a 5, and a 7 out of 4 cards. So it is, I don't want to say it's easy to do, it is possible, but I would not build your entire strategy around this. It happens, and that's awesome. It's also here for a card draw. Dazzling Sphinx also has flying. Whenever it deals damage to a player, that player exiles a card from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then the player puts the exiled cards that weren't cast this way into the bottom of their library in a random order. It's just a free spell. Depending on who you pick, that could be very impactful. If you pick a mono blue player and you happen to get an extra turn spell, that's phenomenal. More than likely you'd probably get a counter spell or maybe a little draw spell. Not the worst thing. Get a kill spell from the black or the black commander player. Get a buff spell from a green deck. It's kind of, it depends. You have to know what opponents you are playing to really get the full value out of it and what the situation is on the board. But it's a very situational card. Again, it does have flying, so it also makes a great ninjutsu target. Again, it's a free spell. It's hard to complain about a free spell. Diluvian Primordial. Flying, when it enters the battlefield for each opponent, you may cast up to 1 target instant and sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast this way would be put into the graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Okay, so There are cards that like to be played from the graveyards, like Faithless Looting, anything with an escape cost or anything like that. So this is not only a good way to get rid of those cards if needed be, it is also a really great way to just get a ton of free advantage. That's all there is to it. You pick 3 different instants and sorceries, and without paying their mana cost, you could get certain extra turn spells, again from a blue player, removal effects, card draw, just whatever you need you can get with this card. It's just really, really, it's hard to argue with this. And also, again, it has flying, makes it a great ninjutsu target. Hand of Emrakul. 9 CMC, you may sacrifice 4 Eldrazi spawn rather than pay Hand of Emrakul's mana cost. That will never happen. And it also has Annihilator 1. It's not the best Eldrazi, as all the best Eldrazi's cost $15 minimum. Hard to make a commander deck around those. But it's still a 7/7. And the next turn it can attack, and it can start just making people sacrifice at least one thing. All in all, a pretty okay ninjutsu spawn. This is probably one of the ones I would... There is one I would definitely take out before this. I'll get to that. This is one card that I would possibly, if you do happen to have a bigger Eldrazi, or if you do have a Praetor of Phyrexia, I'd probably splash that in here, and I'll let you know in another place. But I mean, it's also a 7/7, has Annihilator 1, but if you do have an upgrade for it, don't be afraid to use it for this spot in particular. Kiru, Mind Eater, has Menace, and whenever it deals damage to a player, that player exiles a card from his or her hand face down. You may look and play cards exiled with Kiru, Mind Eater. So, one thing that I would like to point out is that this is, you won't necessarily be saving mana on this, but to exile a card from his hand, to take resources from your opponent, and more than likely they're going to really want to give you lands at first. You can then play those lands with Kiru, giving you a little bit more mana, giving you the ability to cast their spells if they're not in the same colors as you. Granted, blue and black are pretty popular commanders. Just look at this channel. Did not think I liked Dimir this much, not gonna lie. And it also has Menace, which means it's not the best way to a form of evasiveness. It does potentially give you just enough to get another ninjutsu target in there. Mind Leech Mass. Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may look at the player's hand. If you do, you may play a non-land card in it without paying its mana cost. Absolutely amazing ninjutsu target for this, especially for the price. This is ridiculous. Honestly, it's just really, really fun to slap this down for 4 CMC when it usually costs 8. I just don't know what to say. You get free advantage. Play the best card out of their hand. It's really not hard. I'm not gonna lie. And then it has trample, so it can't even be chump blocked. So it's just a really good ninjutsu card. Honestly, it's just really good. Just please play this. And the Necropolis Agent, 3 black, 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 has flying. Another form of evasion, so you can use it as to get another ninjutsu trigger if needed be. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. If you use ninjutsu on this, this instantly becomes a 12. A 12/11. Also another reason why this is here is that you're presumably attacking with other unblockable creatures with how many we have in this deck, and those start to become real threats when they turn from 1/1s to 2/2s to 4/4s to 8/8s, and that's at the base 1/1. We do have a few 2/2 creatures in here. This is the card that makes getting to it. Ukima way better. If you have Ukima on this and Necropolis Regent, it makes it a way more serious threat, because once you take your ninjutsu out of there, you can hit someone for 4, 8, 16 damage before they really know what to do with. And the only way that they can't even really deal with this, to be honest with you. It's just there. If they kill it, they'll still take the damage. If they exile it, they still take the damage. It just makes Ukima a real threat. I just want to point out that interaction between Ukima and, let's get all the way back here, Necropolis Regent. I keep saying reagent because work, I apologize. But Necropolis Regent is a really good card, highly valued in this deck. I would not recommend taking this out whatsoever. That's all I'm trying to say. Next up, we have Nezahal Primal Tide. The spell can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size, and whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Then you can discard 3 cards, exile it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. A really good card to cheat in there, especially for 4 mana. Gives you no maximum hand size, which can be really helpful in this deck, not gonna lie, depending on what is happening. Whether or not we have a Bite in Nathasa or a Reconnaissance Mission and a bunch of unblockable creatures, that can come quite handy. And obviously the card draw effect is just really good. And then in the late game, discarding 3 lands to return your big beefy boy onto the field is not a bad source of protection whatsoever, especially when you draw a card off of that removal effect. Pathrazor of Ulamog has Annihilator 3, and it can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. So it has Ultra Menace. It's just, again, gives it a little bit more harder to block options. I don't know what to say about it. You can ninjutsu this out, because when you attack with it and then ninjutsu it out, you still get the Annihilator 3 trigger before ninjutsuing it out. So that's a way to use it, and it's a little bit harder to block. And it's not the best way of evasion, but it is a big Eldrazi, and you hit him for 9 damage. It's hard to really complain about that, not gonna lie. Phyrexian Ingester. Imprint. When Phyrexian Ingester enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. It gets +X+Y, where X is the creature's power and Y is the creature's toughness. So yes, it's a 3/3. This is a very interesting removal spell. Not only can you just select the biggest thing on the board, you could really target a problematic creature depending on what it is. And since it doesn't state that if the exile creature doesn't stay exiled, you lose that bonus, you can target commanders and not have to worry about only having a 3/3. So that does help a little bit in certain situations, but more than likely you'll probably just want to target whatever's the biggest thing on this board that's not yours and exile it. Ravenous Chupacabra, 2 black. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. You're not saving anything CMC, it's just a little fun in the battlefield effect that can kill a key utility creature. Scion of Darkness. Trample. Whenever Scion of Darkness deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Really great card for $5, especially in a way when you can cheat them out for half the price. I just honestly don't even know what to say about it. There's a ninja card, I forget the name of it. It's like $15 to $20 that does the exact same thing, but it has a ninjutsu thing, or ninjutsu ability. Obviously, we're not really worried about that since this thing also has, or it doesn't need a ninjutsu ability to be used. Thanks to Satoru, sorry. As an added bonus, it does have cycling 3 in case you really need that land drop, I guess, or removal spell. But like I said, literally getting the best creature that your opponents have played this game, really hard to pass up, not gonna lie, especially if you have a person who plays like Evasive or the Archon card that prevents you from attacking in general. It's just really hard to pass up the big targets such as that. And like I said, you're not going to be cycling this unless you really need a certain card. But like I said, it's just a really great budget alternative to that other ninja that costs $20. That's all I'm saying. If you do have that ninja, you might want to slot that in for Scion of Darkness. I just really like this card. Oh, god dang it. I apologize. You think I'd learn my lesson about not including this card, but it has such a great enter the battlefield trigger. Sepulchral Primordial. Has Intimidate, which means it can't be blocked by except by artifact and black creatures. When Sepulchral Primordial enters the battlefield, for each opponent, you may put one target creature from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield. Again, since it is evasive, this also makes it a ninjutsu target, so you can blink it and not really blink it, but then ninjutsu it back onto the field and just get more and more recursion. Is a great way to use this card, is all I'm trying to say. Has an amazing in the battlefield effect. That's all you need to know. Triplicate Titan. 9/9. A 9/9 for 9 CMC. You're probably not going to play this, and even if you would, it's not impactful enough right off the board. Now for 4 CMC, this is absolutely busted. And then when it dies, it creates a 3/3 colorless token golem artifact that has flying, another one with vigilance, and another one with trample. The thing about this card is, not only is it a great ninjutsu target, is when it dies, one of the tokens it creates is an amazing ninjutsu target as well with flying. You're going to get that on at least someone, so that helps you out quite a bit. And then you just have 2 other bodies on there. It's a really great card in this deck because not only it is a big beefy boy, it also drops other tokens that you can ninjutsu on later. Our last 2 unconventional ninjas is Ulamog's Crusher. It attacks each combat as able, which you're not going to say no to that. It has Annihilator too. It's just a really good card, to be honest. There's really no point of not attacking with this thing. And again, the only thing that stinks is that Annihilator doesn't come into effect when you ninjutsu them. It's just a really great way to cheat out these big Eldrazi boys. Next up, we have Vilis, Broker of Blood. It has flying, black, pay 2 life, target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn, and whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. This is a really good card. Surprised it's only around the $5 mark. Honestly, it's a really good card. Again, it has flying, makes it a ninjutsu target if needed be. The fact that it has spot removal, where you have to pay 2 life to maybe kill a mana dork, maybe kill a key utility creature, kill a Thalia. Literally, like, there's so many different ways that you can use that ability, and you can use it multiple times to kill bigger utility creatures. The only downside is we don't have a whole lot of life link in this deck. We don't have a whole lot of life gain in general. I believe our only life gain is Yukima. So be careful with this. And it also prevents people from attacking you as well. Because if I attack you with my little 2/2, or I attack you and you block everything except the 2/2, I just gave you free card advantage. It's not really worth it till they get rid of Villas. Which is a really great card. Highly recommend it. Next up, we have some protection. We have Naruko Stealth Suit for 2 CMC. Equipped creature can't be the target of spells or abilities. It has Shroud. It has Shroud. And you can pay 2 blue, or sorry, let me rephrase that. A blue and a blue. Attach Naruko Stealth Suit to target creature you control. That's an instant, and then you also have equip for 1. So you can equip it onto 1 creature, but if someone has a spot removal, you can bounce it around as a little bit of protection in general. Really great card. Most likely we're going to be putting this on our commander and just leaving it there, but it does have that added ability to where you can protect your stuff, maybe dissuade someone from actually using their removal on your things because they know you have this. Gift of Doom, 4 and a black to just enchant a creature. It has Death Touch and Indestructible. But you can also morph it by sacrificing another creature. But first you have to pay it as a 3/3 and then turn face up. When you turn face up, you attach it to a creature. You're going to be selecting more than likely our commander with this. Our deck really revolves around it, and losing it really hinders our deck. So if you're not a fan of some of the spells in there, I might recommend possibly putting maybe 1 or 2 more protection based spells into this, or maybe even a little bit more counter spells. I'm not the biggest counter spell fan, to be honest with you. Just to make it fit your playstyle and protect your commander. Next up, we have Robe of Mirrors. For 1 CMC, that creature now has Shroud. Really great card. Absolutely love it. Surprised it's not played more, honestly. And yeah, it's just a really great card. Just give something Shroud for 1 mana. Give our commander protection from literally almost everything in commander, because people don't use Shroud removal 90% of the times. Utility, Dissolve, counter target spell, scry 1. Doomblade, destroy target non-black creature. Heartless Act, choose 1, remove 3 counters from target creature, or destroy target creature with no counters on it. And then Hero's Downfall, destroy target creature or planeswalker. Just really great utility cards. Counterspell, removal. Negate, counter target non-creature spell. I don't even want to say a majority of cards aren't, or win conditions aren't creature spells, but a good amount of them are. And this is just a really cheap way to just say no to a combo player. Absolutely love this card. Saw it coming. 1 blue, counter target spell. You can also foretell it for 1 and a blue. And then we also have Spell Purist. For 1 single blue, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. I've noticed a lot that in my personal commander games, most people just tap all out, or maybe leave 1 for the mana tithe or something. But this doesn't stop a combo player 90% of the time, because they'll have a way to just cheat out more mana. But it is a very effective way for literally everyone else. And then I have Tyrant Scorn. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less, or return target creature to its owner's hand. Just a really great utility option. And honestly, you could target one of your big guys and then ninjutsu them back onto the field later if you really want to get a really good enter the battlefield trigger. That's another little bit of utility that you can use it as. There is a little bit more counter spells in this deck, just because like I said, our deck does run around our commander, and keeping him alive is very, very helpful. Next up, we have Curse of the Swine. Exile X target creatures. For each creature exiled this way, its controller gets a 2/2 green boar creature token. And then Raven form, exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying, and it has Foretell. And then Cunning Evasion. When a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. It's just a really great way to remove maybe opponents' enchantments on your creatures if you are even able to attack, and maybe even get some of your big guys back into your hand for your removal effects, or maybe save an evasive creature from a combat trick. There's so many different ways, and the fact that it says you may return it to your owner's hand instead of you must, or you return it, it gives you a lot of say in what's happening. It's a way better card with just the word you may. Just absolutely love this card. Perfect for a ninjutsu deck. Okay, next we move on to the lore. So he is the leader of the Heizun Reckoners. It's a gang in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. They've been along for a long time. He is currently the leader, and the gang use masks to hide their identity and often have poison on their blades. There's not a whole lot of lore as of right now. The lore comes out in a little bit. I'm excited for him. He looks really cool. I'm not going to lie. I'm sure his lore is going to be phenomenal. And that's all I can say at the moment, which is kind of sad. This is usually where I fall in love with the characters, but that it will probably happen later on. I do love his artwork, especially this one, with the, I don't want to say ink style. I forget exactly what they called this kind of card treatment on it, but it just really looks really neat. Not gonna lie, I like it. I'm sure he'll become a better character in the future. It's hard to do these videos on pre-release cards when they haven't been around before, so I apologize for that. But here we go on to the value. This is what you guys all came for. I have a typo. For TCP Player, apparently a new website, without shipping, you can this deck will cost you $48.49. And then with Card Kingdom, it will cost you $59.90. While the average cost for from Card Kingdom is $1,926.45. We are grossly under the average deck. A lot of people see this guy and throw in every single Praetor, every single Eldrazi that they can when they see something like this, and you can tell it it pays. It pays. For this, you get pretty much the same effect. You see creatures that you don't normally see at your game table, providing you a more fun and unique experience for $50. It's honestly a really great deal. And as much as I do like TCG Player, it's really hard to argue the Card Kingdom price of $59.90 with all shipping included, when without shipping and TCG Player just grabbing some of its better deals and slapping them together, and it only being $10, it might actually be worth it to go with Card Kingdom if you want to buy this deck. I would. It's kind of hard to argue with that price difference. Usually Card Kingdom's about $20 more expensive for it only being $10. That is well done, Card Kingdom. Well done. So that is it. Again, I apologize on the lore side. I know it's coming out here before we know it, to be honest. I know it's probably coming out within a week. Definitely before spoiler season, which I believe starts the 25th or the 27th. And I think the lore comes out next week, I believe. Could be wrong on that. I feel like the Wizards will really try to push to make him an interesting character. So I'm excited to see what they'll do with him on that regards. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you for whoever has watched this far into it. Links down in the description for the deck tech. If you have any comments or concerns, please let me know. I'd be happy to address them. If you have any recommendations, I'd also be happy to hear from you. Now I got to do a little bit of shilling. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you do enjoy this content. If you don't, feel free to pass this up. Feel free to dislike this video. I understand I'm not the best content creator, and I appreciate it either way, honestly. So just thank you. Just thank you so much for watching. That's all I can ask for you guys.